Well, guys, I hate to break it to you, but hell has frozen over. Marvel did the meme. This is the new Black Panther. And it's a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white guy named Katima, who is the son of T'Challa.
I have a lot of questions. So obviously,
I'm not going to know the answer. So again, before we even get started, this is Marvel Comics. This is not Marvel movies. We don't talk about Marvel comics on here very much because, one, it doesn't interest a whole lot of people these days. Even the comics channels say that videos about comics are languishing. But this is the definition of stunt marketing because everybody is talking about this. And Ryan Gosling is waiting by his phone for his call to join the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
He's waiting for the call from Kevin Feige as we speak.
So this is from Marvel Knights #1, The World to Come, and it's being written by Christopher Priest, and the art is being done by Joe Quesada. I almost called him Jose Quesada. It's Joe Quesada, which are both legendary figures in Marvel. So Christopher Priest is a legendary comic book writer who has written Black Panther in the past. He's actually, if you remember, he's kind of got a reputation for, he got really upset at the comic book industry because they would call him to write stuff and they'd always want him to write black characters. And he's like, just because I'm black doesn't mean that I can only write black characters. He went on to do multiple great runs of lots of different characters, Deathstroke being one of the most important. And so this is being done in a way where you think that it's this, but I knew as soon as I read this headline that he was going to be a villain. And as far as I'm concerned, that's perfectly fine. It makes perfect sense to me. It doesn't change the fact that what happens here, at least from what I read, because this is these were like preview issues, is that he challenges his father to combat in Wakanda and beats him.
Well, T'Challa dies on the second page of this comic book, but they then flash back to the events that led up to his death, and he, first off, his baby mama dies. He wants to continue his legacy.
Storm dies. Well, no, that's not his baby mama because this is not Storm's child. So that's that. And plus, calling Storm baby mama is just rude.
His wife dies.
Yes.
He wants to continue his legacy. He sires a child with Monica Lynn.
Which, from what I understand, from what I was told, is a black woman. So that doesn't make any sense why this guy would have blonde hair and blue eyes.
But I assume they will eventually address that.
Yes.
So then his son, possibly illegitimate son, Katima, he unmasks himself. He takes the throne from his father after battle and reveals that he has blonde hair and he has blue eyes and he looks kind of like Ryan Gosling.
And this, by the way, this is not a what if. I almost said Elseworld. That's DC. This is not a what if storyline. This is in the 616 continuity. So this is the main Marvel Comics timeline.
But that's why I was confused because I remember in Wakanda Forever, the end of that movie is so soap opera-esque. They reveal T'Challa's baby mama and his child, and obviously they are both black in the movie, and I was like, does this imply that canonically T'Challa has multiple baby mamas? What's going on? And obviously this is not going to get picked up for any real MCU movie or TV show.
Here's the thing. I think if they gave it time to sit and then people sit with the idea that he's a villain, they would absolutely look to bring this guy in, maybe down the line.
Well, I don't know, because based on the blowback, I doubt that. A lot of people were very angry at this. One said, Black Panther having a white son would be ridiculous.
I've been told that it's a mantle, so it doesn't matter. You just have to pass the mantle along. I do want to stress that I do think that this is stunt marketing. And I don't think that the idea was ever going to be to keep him, obviously, as the Black Panther. Nobody believes that. And even if it was, it would be stupid. I was listening to something earlier, and I was trying to think of, when was the last time that they race swapped a black character to make it a white character? And I think Neon from Clownfish TV is right. The only one that I could think of off the top of my head would be Baxter Stockman from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that's we're talking back in the 80s.
Okay.
Because then when it came later.
It's obviously not considered acceptable the other way around.
I think that this is great stunt marketing because Marvel knows that they need to make money right now. They're also bringing back the Punisher and the Punisher logo, which they had kind of disavowed for years because the wrong type of people like the Punisher and the wrong type of people think the Punisher logo is cool.
Meaning Republicans?
Or just dudes with testosterone.
dudes who back the blue.
Well, I mean,
maybe.
it doesn't even have to just be that. It could just be that is
Well,
the thing,
isn't
though.
it that
became
specifically cops
Yes.
adopted the logo, and not a lot of them even knew the origin of it. They just thought it looked cool.
Yeah, it's a skull. It looks
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
So it's really funny. I was taken by this quote from Christopher Priest. I was reading this interview he did about this, and he says, "Our obligation was to the fans who are reading the book, and we should stop turning ourselves inside out trying to attract those who are not." He's right. You should stop looking for the phantom new audience, the modern audience, that magical new demographic of people who are going to finally start buying your comics. You should be telling stories that they want to see. Now, he does talk a lot also about how subversion is not a bad thing, because subversion in storytelling wasn't always just like, when people think of the idea of subverting expectations now, they think of just race and gender swaps. But that's not what he was talking about in this interview. He was talking about the history of the character of T'Challa and how he took on different iterations from different comic book writers and creators. So he kind of gets in the weeds about what subversion actually means on an artistic level, which I thought was really, really interesting and fun. But let's face it, what most people want right now is for a post-credit scene to show up and Ryan Gosling takes off the helmet.
Would Ryan Gosling take the hit?
I don't
to
think
his
he would do
career?
it. Here's the thing. He doesn't need the money. And he is also, the best thing about that meme is that he transcends that character, because they also use him for MLK is Obama, or
Right.
Ryan Gosling is Obama. Ryan Gosling is
Yes.
Martin Luther King Jr. He has become the stand-in for the idea of race swapping a black character for a white guy.
Right. How did that happen?
I don't know.
Why Ryan
I have
Gosling?
no idea. I don't know what it
Because
is.
he's just the most obvious blonde-haired, blue-eyed actor out there, I guess.
I did see this one. It says, this says Black Marvel fans erupt after new Black Panther is revealed as white. It says, it's just a fictional character. Crowd is on life support right now.
There was another tweet that was specifically about Christopher Priest saying, if there would be any writer who would try to give the Black Panther mantle to a white person, of course it would be Christopher Priest, the man who made it his job to shove white characters into Wakanda's mythos. LOL.
He talks about that in his he talks about that in that interview about how in past runs that he wanted to expand Wakanda and introduce other now he didn't say white, he said other elements of the Marvel timeline, of the 616 timeline, into Wakanda, whereas what Joe Quesada wanted to do was to keep the story insular about the people in the culture. And he says, like, looking back on it, Joe was probably right.
Wait, so if I understand correctly, Christopher Priest is a black writer?
Yes, he is.
So that's so funny. There were these people saying, stop letting non-black people touch Black Panther. They do silly stuff like this. And then people were like, the author is black.
He wrote Black Panther years ago, before Ta-Nehisi Coates and all that. And so, yeah, it's very, very funny. I do recommend, I don't have it pulled up here, but there's so the article in Comic Book Movie has a link to this interview that he did, and it's really, really good. Like, you get an idea of just how smart this guy is, how long he's been working in the business. Like I said, he felt back in the day when they started only calling him to write black characters, he purposely went and took on characters that were not that. He went and wrote Deathstroke and did long runs at that. So it's very, very cool. I think it's funny.
Is this the next obvious move now that Jonathan Majors is out of the picture to revitalize the Black Panther
like, who's the actor?
franchise?
Who's the actor who played Aquaman's brother in
the last one?
In the last one? I forget that actor's name.
Oh my gosh.
He's looking like that guy.
Who was that
I forget.
guy?
It's something Owen. It's not Owen. I don't remember
Wait.
that. I don't remember. He was also in. He's been in a bunch of other stuff, but I can't remember his name. I just think that it's very, very interesting.
Patrick Wilson.
Patrick Wilson. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Patrick Wilson.
Oh, he looks like the character too.
He absolutely does. You hire Patrick Wilson to play this guy.
Perfect.
You go straight from DC to Marvel.
Maybe this is the next move for them.
Look, they're hurting for money. Everybody needs to make money right now. Right now, like, Marvel's got like panels coming up at conventions, and people are gonna have a whole bunch of questions about this stuff. So I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was funny. But again, he's not going to be Black Panther. He's going to be a bad guy, and more stuff will be revealed down the line. But it's very, very funny. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.